What the hell do I know? I'm just JB, middle-aged dad with ADD. Candid combos, jokes so lame, jabronis pulling a poker face. Just a couple of dudes with ADD. What the hell do I know? With JB.
Chill. You got it. We back for another episode. I'm so excited about it, man. And welcome to our Floors.com studio. That's FLOORZZZ.com. That's right. Floors.com is your one-stop shop for your next flooring or wall covering remodel or new build. So give them a buzz. Tell them the Jabroni sent you. I always think it's great. I think Mike is going to talk to him the other day. He is going to come up with a code. I don't know.
He just
a
Jabroni code.
I hope it's a Jabroni, like 10 off or something like that. So we'll hopefully have a code for you with Floors.com. We'll flash up the next time. I'm excited about it. They're really great. I mean, any floor you want, bamboo, got it.
Yeah.
Hardwood, got it.
LVP,
got it. Tile, got it. Like, what do you want, man?
They can do vinyl and trailers, too.
100%. Whatever you want. If you've got a flooring need, Floors.com, FLOORZZ.com is the place to be, folks. They ship it right to you.
All right.
It's great. It's amazing. If you tell them the Jabroni sent you, they'll make sure your order's filled.
Or not.
Or not.
They will.
I'm sure the promo code's going to be plus 10 or something. Plus 10%.
You put Jabroni. Unique. Yeah. So I'm excited about the show. I'm always say this every episode. Every time I watch, I see me say, I'm excited about the show. But I really am. I'm genuinely excited that every guest we bring on.
Absolutely.
I hope we're bringing you people that you like. I mean, we'd love to have your feedback. In fact, if you're listening, you have a story, you should DM us, comment. You've got my socials. We'll flash them up there. But you can go to @_Jason_Becker on Instagram. We'll flash it up. But at any rate, just DM us or whatever. I'd love to listen to your story and see if it works out to get you on the pod. Maybe you've got a story that the audience would love to hear.
So recommend somebody.
Yeah. Any of
maybe
those
somebody
things.
We don't know.
We've got some great guest lineups coming in. I don't like to tell you who all they are.
Don't tell
But I'm excited about the guests that we have coming, but I'm excited about today's guest. So we have the one, the only, Jared Cartee.
That's right.
I got it right.
Nice.
Nailed it.
Come on.
First try?
Come on. First
Never
try.
happens.
Never happens.
Okay, just
I
don't
am
say it again.
always the worst.
Well, it's only
Jared
6 letters. So
Jared
I feel like
Cartee, yeah.
when he gets over
Yeah.
8, it's where he struggles.
Right. If there's more, what is that, phonetic version
European,
of it? It gets, who's peeing?
Finish.
Oh.
No, the Finnish
Finnish
language,
one will get me. Finnish, I don't think I could get Madi's last name if I had to do it.
I messed it up.
Antila is Antila. Antila.
Okay.
I got it. You got it wrong.
You said Antilla.
I said Antilla is Antila. Antila. But no, there's another guy. I butchered his name like the whole episode.
It's okay.
The whole episode. We'll see what I do
You
here.
said it perfectly. It's not Cartee. It's
we're not
Cartee.
done. We're not done yet.
Okay.
Cartee.
But I'm excited to have you on. We're going to talk about all the things that I know you're here to talk about safe in the Panhandle. We're going to go in a little bit of your journey as well, and we're going to talk about it all. So I'm really excited about it. But before we do that, it's now time to play What the Hell Do I Know with Jared Cartee. So if you are ready, it's 7 questions, rapid succession. You can pass if you want to. There's no gotcha questions.
Okay.
You just answer them as best you can, as fast as you can, whatever comes to your time. We're going to put a clock on.
I got you.
Juice, you got the clock ready? Here we go. Clock's on. Here we go. Number 1, I'll give you extra time. Number 1, brisket or pulled pork?
Brisket.
All right. Okay. Number 2, best place to watch a sunset?
The beach.
All right. Here or anywhere else?
Here.
Perfect. Number 3, I love how you answer that. Number 3, highest form of education you've achieved?
Part of a master's.
All right. That's
I guess that's not achieving.
Well, no,
I've got
but I like
3
it.
different parts.
No, I like that answer. That's
pizza.
Work. That's work. That's work. That's work. Number 4, favorite restaurant here on the Emerald Coast?
Oh, Down Island.
Okay. All right. Down. Oh, I've not been there. I got to go check it out. Down on. Number 5, if you had one wish could be granted to you, what would it be?
Oh.
Let's see if you get it right.
That everyone would know Jesus Christ as their Savior and Lord. I mean, that's a
That's
church
such a good answer. What am I going to do? But it's always infinite wishes. It's always infinite wishes.
It's always infinite wishes.
But that's a good one. Number 6, sushi or are you for sushi or you like sushi's gross stuff?
I love sushi.
You're in on sushi. Okay. Number 7, if you could meet anyone, who would it be? Past or present?
Past or present?
One person. You want to meet him? Don't say Jesus.
I'm not.
Kid Rock said Jesus. I'm Rogan.
He already gave the Jesus answer.
Honestly,
Actually, share a question. You said whatever.
probably Spurgeon.
Okay, Charles Spurgeon. Yeah, that'd be a good one.
I like to write, and
I love it.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
pick a mind of a great writer.
I think, absolutely.
Bright
well, you are
mind.
now off the hot seat. Way
nailed
to
it.
go. You nailed it. See how easy that was?
Brisket.
That was
perfect.
good. Is
That's
Down
so
Island,
good.
is that on Oakless Island?
no,
No,
it
no,
is
it's-
right there close to 393.
Yeah, on 98. It's like near.
Go at lunchtime. And I apologize to all my friends that have restaurants too. I didn't name your restaurants.
Well, here's your chance. No, I'm just
But no, they've got an oyster BLT. It'll make you suck
Okay.
them off.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
It is.
wow.
It's only at lunch.
It's right by like is it kind of between Sellers and Stock and Trade
Yeah.
or something like
so
that?
I have been there.
Yeah.
I've been there once. It was good, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No, my favorite
That's what I
dish
got, I
is
think.
the grouper plate at Red Bar. I mean, that's just
that's not good.
that's my
Yeah,
favorite.
Louis and Red Bar.
It's
the
pretty
grouper.
good.
Oh my god.
Pretty good.
At Cafe
Yeah.
38 the other night, my wife and I had a date for the first time in a while.
I mean, Bijou, the filet at Bijou.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, you can then go to Cigars, the filet there
Cafe
with
38 is
Fleetwood, but there's some great spots here. And
Yeah,
by the way, I'm
there's a
sorry
lot.
I just gave away some of my A++ restaurants.
Yeah, I thought we
we
were
swore
not
we
doing
were
that.
never doing that. So there it is.
Yeah, don't get me started on food.
Yeah.
Cracker Barrel like food. You don't.
Yeah,
There's good food down there.
You don't get
There's
a Greek god
good
of a
food
body
down
like
here.
this by denying good food.
Yeah.
Wait, so how did you manage a date night with all them kids you were telling us about?
I said y'all
Was it a
got
date day?
Y'all, no, it was Sunday night.
A Sunday night?
Sunday
Good for
night.
you.
Okay, yeah.
You got to find time,
You gotta
right?
find
You gotta
time.
find
It's so
time.
important.
As Julia watches this pod, she's gonna be like, he doesn't do that often, but every now and then you
No,
gotta find.
you have to.
So
You
when
have
time to
to.
go eat.
I've said this before on the pod. I've said it,
sure.
on my social. But I think when Sophia was like 5 or 6, when we felt like she was good enough to watch babies, maybe sooner than that, but about 12 years now, we've been doing every Friday night a date night with Danielle and me. Now, when we're on vacation, we can't. There's times that the kids have something going on. But so in a year, 52 weeks, I would guarantee you we're 35 plus weeks that we do a date night every single week.
We used to do date day on Fridays. So once all the kids go to school,
Yeah, that's
and then
good. Yeah.
well, I would always
That's
find
great,
time.
too.
Just
That's
a
good,
date
too.
day. You don't have to find a babysitter.
Yeah. That's smart. That's smart.
Now these kids, like her senior, she gets out at school like 11 a.m. I'm like, why do you even get?
Yeah, why are
She's
you
got to
going?
go.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
got to
Gotta
go.
go.
But
But they're like
What are they
adults
doing?
now too, right?
Yeah.
You got to feed them.
I know.
The gas, the
They
cars.
get so old having
it's
to
like,
feed
I'm
them.
living with adults, and it's adult costs now.
Right.
We're not sharing plates anymore. This is
Right.
full on entrees.
Right. No, it's important though to invest in your relationship. That's the one thing that sometimes couples have a hard time doing.
Yeah.
Is going back in and finding that time because life gets so busy and you have so much going on. So, pro tip: invest in your relationship. The ROI you get out of investing in your marriage, it comes back to you tenfold. And it doesn't just come back into that husband and wife relationship. It comes back into your children.
Yeah.
Right.
Permeates through them. They get to see what a healthy relationship looks like. So, no parent sits there and prays for, the spouse of their child to be the worst human possible, right?
Right.
Nobody says, hey,
You got to
I hope-
replicate that.
I hope you, I hope you
show
have
that.
some in a loveless marriage when you grow up. That's what I've been praying for you. Nobody says that, right? So we want the best for you, but we have to emulate the best as parents, and that's not always easy to do. So give yourself grace if you find yourself in a moment that it's not there. Give yourself grace, but start taking steps towards it. It's so important. Your kids will benefit from
Brilliant.
it more than you'll ever know. That is a good statement. Thank you, Bob.
Juice.
Thank you. That was brilliant. So I got off on a little tangent there, but that's good news.
Hey,
That's
I'm
good
going
news,
to warn
baby.
you. I'm going to lead you on many tangents.
Let's go
Come
down,
on.
baby.
I'm the
You
bunny.
fit right in
I'm
with
the
us.
bunny trail master.
The first question is, what were you,
go back
12 when you had a kid? Because
Yeah,
you have
you're
an
pretty young.
18-year-old?
Yeah.
That's crazy. How old were you?
I think. What year were you born?
Or
I was
you don't
born
wanna
in
say it?
'82.
Oh my
God.
goodness! So you were getting
Wow,
kids
you
on
popping
early,
it out,
then,
So
brother.
we got married.
You were getting kids on early.
Don't make me
Alabama.
Don't make me do math.
Did they sign? Did your parents have to sign something about y'all to get
my
married?
sister.
I ain't saying that.
We got
Yeah, we
married.
weren't saying sister. We were just saying you were 15. And your parents had to sign something.
Shotgun wedding.
We were young. So we were told, and this is we're going to go off on a tangent here.
I love it.
We
Let's
thought
go.
our chances of having kids were real low.
Okay.
Really?
And so when we got married, and this is jumping ahead of the gun, but
Yeah.
when we got married, I'd already in my mind prepared to adopt. And then I was thinking internationally. And they were like, if you're going to have kids, you got to start practicing.
Okay,
Not practicing. Trying. But I like practicing.
It's the best part about trying to have kids.
But, and they were way off. They were way off.
Yeah.
We had 4 kids in 5 years.
That's crazy.
And then when our youngest was 7,
4 kids in 5 years. Let's just think
I
about
just had one.
like your wife Julia.
Well, she was
we've got to
pregnant
give her
forever.
Danielle. I think we had 3 kids in 6 years, and I felt she was pregnant for a decade.
Yeah.
I mean 4 and 5 years is.
She was,
that's legit.
Yeah, you're right, Brady. She was
Does your wife
pregnant
here
the
like
whole-
stick around now just to beat you?
Stay away from me, Jared. Stay away from me.
I'm not going to be pregnant for 4 years straight again.
Oh my goodness.
but then when our youngest was 7, all 4 kids asked for a baby brother for Christmas. I'm like, not happening.
Yeah.
And that'd be the Immaculate Conception part. Did. And then our pastor did a series on adoption, and I was reading a book on adoption, and Julia had started her business, and God had blessed it. We had been helping friends adopt for a couple years, and after a deacons meeting, I put my arm around the pastor. I was like, "Brother Ed, you're a jerk."
I'm having another kid.
Pierce the heart.
He was like, "I think you're calling the Holy Spirit a jerk." And I may have said something else, but I'll keep it G.
Yeah.
So,
No, that's hey, when you get that bug and you feel that pressure, I mean, you can run from it, but it's always tinkling. It's always tickling.
Yeah, I wouldn't let-
it's always
I
going to
wouldn't let it go.
Yeah.
So you had 4 daughters.
No, it was girl, boy. Julia Julia actually went in for a hysterectomy after Roman, our 3rd, and I was in the waiting room, and she came back out after 10 minutes. I'm like, that was quick.
With that stick?
And then she goes, "I'm pregnant." I was like,
Oh my word!
So, listen, the difference going from 2 to 3 is you go from man defense to zone.
That's right. That's
When
right.
you go
That's
from
right.
3 to 4,
It's not that big of a
you
difference,
just
right?
forget the 4th one every now and then somewhere. But then, so when we adopted Reese when he was a newborn, when you go to 5, you got to start looking at vans.
Yeah.
We bought a
Can't believe you didn't already have
Okay.
one.
Oh,
Yeah.
you got to have a Sprinter.
So
van,
when we moved down here, we
Yeah.
sold it, and now I'm like,
Okay.
man, I miss my van.
Yeah, well, you've got some drivers in your group now too, though, right?
Yeah.
So you got some.
Do they help each other out?
I mean,
I'll take him
does
today.
it happen? Does it happen some with you? I mean, it happens some with us. Our
Yeah.
kids, I only have one left, so she's my only driver.
I've replaced
So, yeah.
3 tires in the past 2 years since we moved down here.
Oh, okay.
So they love curbs.
They love curves.
There ain't a lot of curves down
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, where they found them.
That's funny.
The tire walls tell me they know where they're
They
at.
know where the curves are.
Yeah,
That's great.
That's scary. It's like we talked about this on the other pod, like teenagers learning to drive. That was one of our questions. This has got to be the scariest thing.
It is. I tell my kids all the time, it's one of the most, if not the most dangerous thing you'll do. Statistically, the most dangerous thing you'll do in your life, and you're going to do it every day.
Yeah, on 98.
And
We're talking about
anywhere,
the worst
really.
place.
It's
There's a
anywhere.
fatality
I mean,
yesterday.
you're more speed on
Yeah.
98 for sure, but prior to that, in fact, when we were down here, people are always like, "Oh, bloody 98 or 98," and it's got this reputation, if you're a local down here, of being accident driven, but it's the only big highway. Where
Yeah.
the kids would have grown up had we not moved here. We live downtown Atlanta in Morningside.
Yeah, that's
and so
crazy.
you're
Atlanta's the
285.
craziest
You
I've
get on
ever
285 and 75. Quite frankly, 98 feels like
It's not bad.
kindergarten.
It's not bad.
When I go back to Atlanta, I mean, I get nervous.
I
used
get
to
nervous driving through Atlanta.
I used to drive it no problem. Now, if I'm on that 75, 85 where it merges and it's like
Oh, that's the
18 lanes
worst.
through downtown, I get a little jittery. And I'm telling you, I could have sleepwapwalked through that, back in the day.
Well, there's less cars then. I mean, this is in the
No,
70s.
you're
What are you talking about?
We're talking 10 years ago.
buggies
10
back
years
then.
ago. 10 years ago.
Horse and buggy.
They had self-driving cars back then.
Oh, man.
That's when I was developing the Cybertruck. I had the beta version.
Beta version.
It looked a lot cooler then.
Yeah, that's right.
I had a Cybertruck, but somebody burned it last week.
You gotta
My
watch
bad.
out.
Randomly caught on fire.
Yeah, you gotta watch out, man. You gotta watch out. Yo. True North Pest Control. They are all over Central Florida, Georgia, and they just moved here to the Emerald Coast. I just switched my service over to them. You gotta check them out. Tell them JB sent you. They'll take care of you. We are a bug-free podcast because of them. True North Pest Control. Now back to the show. No, so back to the show. So Jared, I do want you to give us a background because I want my audience to kind of know if they've been hanging out, they've been laughing along with us while they're on the drive to work or the drive home. But I would love to hear a little bit of your background in just the ministry work you've done, kind of where you got into it, your heart for Jesus, things like that.
So I hail from a small town called Leroy, Alabama, about an hour north of Mobile, big metropolis.
Yeah, I hunt around that area.
I've heard of Leroy, Alabama.
Catherine.
Yeah, only because I met you. I heard of Leroy, Alabama, though.
Yeah, I mean, there's not many people there. So grew up youngest of 3 kids, great parents. I remember when I was 8 years old, I remember reading a comic strip that depicted hell. And I saw it, and it was scary. And I want to go there. My friend Chad came up and he said, "Hey, if you go down and talk to the pastor and agree to everything he says and pray this prayer at the end, you'll go to heaven." And at 8 years old, I was like, check.
That sounds like a better option for me.
What a deal. So I did. And I grew up going to church, and I was a decent athlete in high school.
Yeah.
And I had grand plans to go walk on a football team my first day at college. When I was going to go for that, I realized, nah, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
I got an academic scholarship. I'll just do that. I mean, surprisingly, I'm actually decently intelligent. But
well, you can write. You enjoy writing. You've talked about it too.
Writing.
So you've got. Is that where your master's was, by the way?
So I had a degree in journalism with a history minor, because I want to do as little math as possible.
Yeah, that's always important.
So when we were homeschooling our kids, they were fine until we got like 3rd grade math. I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah, but why do we need to do all that? I mean, I remember teachers telling me.
I had to solve for X and Y today.
Oh, did you really?
And I'm like,
why?
I got to solve for 2 variables. I'll tell you after the show. It's a long, lengthy
10-second summary list.
budget.
But do you remember when teachers would say if you need to know math because you're not going to always have a calculator?
Joke's on you, Miss Garrett.
Now we have AI.
I got it, baby. I think I could program it into AI, my math equation, and get it solved.
Becker's winning our March Madness bracket with his AI. He freaking AI'd it somehow.
Yeah. I told him to pick all the number 1s to make it to the final.
Come on, has that happened? 2009. There's like 5 of us that have all number 1 seeds somehow. It's crazy.
Whoever wins wins. Whoever's picked the winner will win. Well, I'm leading in points. It really doesn't matter. If Duke doesn't win it, then I'm out.
We're all in the same boat, basically.
By the time this airs, we'll know.
We will. Mm-hmm. We sure will. So back to ministry. So
So when I went to college, I went to Troy University.
Yeah.
When I got there's this girl I saw, and I'd like to say it was love at first sight. It's probably lust at first sight. But when I saw her, I was like, she's the one. And I got my roommate to find out what he could about her. And he was like, her dad's a pastor. I was like, my neighbor's a pastor. Like, she's a Christian. I'm a Christian.
Easy.
She's got a boyfriend. It's like, where does he go to college?
Is it T-Roy? Right here.
He's a Montevideo. I was like, that'll take care of itself. So anyway, and it did. But I was not actually.
We talking about the same girl today?
We are still.
All right.
Congrats.
So,
congrats. Yeah.
But so my freshman fall at Troy, there was this quarterback that continued to spend time with me after I didn't play football. I was never going to play football, but he continued to spend time with me. And I remember vividly, he was praying one day at a restaurant, and I could tell he was actually talking to God. Mm-hmm, and when I prayed in high school, it was somebody needed to score a touchdown, somebody needed to score, or somebody had cancer.
Bless this food in my body.
Yeah, and I was literally tossing up Hail Marys to God.
Yeah.
I didn't have a relationship with God. I'd never.
Sky Daddy.
Yeah, his fairy sky God handing out suckers when I did good and putting little black X's by my name when I did wrong.
That's
pretty
not
awesome.
God.
Yeah. But that's how I saw it. And then I read Romans 6:23. It says, "For the wages of sin is death, but the free gift of God is eternal life through Christ Jesus." Yeah. And for the first time, I saw and looked through Ephesians 2:8-9 after just a long, just not long, but I just started to feel empty on the inside. All my pursuits that I was pursuing in college, whether it was popularity, and I was captain campus, or athletics, or just to find approval for all those around me.
Sure,
I was in a fraternity.
Approval seeking is always a big thing, right?
Big thing in everybody's life, but it was especially my big people pleaser.
Everybody wants to fit in.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Nobody wants to be an outcast.
Yeah.
So for the first time, I saw my sin. I'd earned the wrath of God, and that I needed forgiveness of my sins. So I called up Brian, and he walked me through Ephesians 2:8-9, explained grace to me. And I don't know the date, somewhere around November 20th something, is when I actually surrendered my life over to Christ. And I got real ingrained with a campus ministry called Campus Outreach. And for 2 years, I pursued this girl who had...
Same girl?
Yeah, same girl.
Okay, I was just checking.
Her name was Julia. And
middle name?
Date of birth, Social Security?
Oh, yeah, we're supposed to ask some questions to get his passwords.
Normally my 7 questions are like, what's your favorite color? What year were you born? Where's your mom's maiden
first car?
name?
That's always it. Yeah.
So, but for 2 years, she had no interest in me. And Psalm 37:4 says, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and He'll give you the desires of your heart." And I was like, I am going to quit pursuing Julia, and I dedicated myself to pour into the Word.
Okay.
And to find guys that would disciple me. And I worked on a plant farm, and that became my life in college, pursuing God. And God used that time to not sanctify me fully, but to grow me. And then, you know what? God changed her heart. And she fell in love with me.
Well, you became a different person, probably.
I did.
Yeah.
Was this after school though, or you're
No, this is all during my time in Troy.
okay, still in school?
All
then.
Somehow I
Troy
graduated in
University.
4 years.
Me
Holy
too.
cow.
Now,
Oh, yeah.
I was 4.5.
What a terrible,
With 3 half masters?
That was fun.
No.
With your half masters?
3 half masters. Impressive.
Out of college, I didn't know. So I've always been a good speaker, good writer,
Yeah.
good orator. I went to college to do broadcast,
Nice.
which paid off because after I
you're here.
I went
You're
on
on
a
a podcast.
podcast. I went to
You're here on this
I went to
podcast.
seminary, and when I quit, we moved back to Troy, and I worked in the admissions office at Troy, and I got to work with the football team and do radio. So that scratched that itch for a while.
Okay.
Then we started having kids like no tomorrow, and I didn't want to travel as much.
Can you get DeMarcus Ware on a podcast?
I can try. I can try.
Right, he's Troy. Yeah, he's
He
Troy
is.
alumni.
He is Troy,
he
right?
We're same year. Actually,
Was it? Okay.
I think he'll come on with Heinz Ward.
at a Christmas conference at a winter retreat, we were playing dodgeball, and this right ankle is still paper mache because he deflected a dodgeball, and I landed on it.
Oh my
It's
God!
his fault.
wow.
It's his
Yeah, I
fault.
want to
didn't
play
make the
dodgeball with
league.
him, dude. I'm sure he's got a cannon too.
Well, and we'll also say if he comes on, we'll definitely sit him down and make him apologize.
He should apologize.
He should apologize.
Don't think you're
Remember
Is
that
he
me.
from the area though? He went to Troy, which is crazy.
He went to Auburn High School.
Okay, so he is from
He
So
and O.C. Umenyor, who played for the Giants, both
Wow,
went to Auburn
yeah.
High School.
One question that always gets me, because I probably know the answer, but I want to just work it out. Because one thing that you were telling me in the story, or what I'm hearing in the story, is you started to know Jesus when you were 8 years old, and being in church and knowing who he was, but your understanding of him didn't really develop until you were in your 20s.
Yeah, and
I mean, so if you're a young kid out there listening, and maybe you've said a prayer and asked Jesus into your heart and decided that you want to know who Jesus is, you may have a prick in your heart about this and trying to figure out, like, am I in or am I out? And I think this isn't a question we're trying to solve of whether you were in or out at 8 or 20. It's just whether you surrendered, whether you
Right.
decided, like, because I think that's something that I think as Christians, it's really easy for people to get mistaken. They think that it almost like my salvation didn't take the
Right.
first time. And that's not really what I just want to kind of clarify that for our audience. That's not what you're really saying, though.
No, God was calling me.
But he pricked your heart to say you weren't following him. You weren't diving into that
Well,
relationship.
there's levels to the surrender.
100%.
There's levels to
Yeah.
the surrender. No, when I was 8, it was out of I didn't want to go to hell. And it wasn't about seeing my sin.
I think that could be 80% of 8-year-olds.
Yeah.
But when I was a freshman in college is the first time that I saw the results of my sin, and that was when I surrendered to the lordship of to God's
Saying, I'm going to
lordship.
put you
Yeah.
first. I'm going to seek you first in my life. This is what I want to do. Yes.
But I so all throughout college, I was in this bubble of campus ministry. So I was like, obviously, I'm called to go into the ministry. So we went to
Okay.
seminary,
Okay.
and I left it.
Where did you go to seminary at?
Southeastern
Yeah.
in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And,
Oh.
it's in the town of Wake Forest, not at Wake Forest University.
No, I know where it's at.
And then when we moved to Troy, I was helping with First Baptist Troy's youth group, and they asked, I went to go be their Family Life Center director. They built a gym.
Oh, perfect.
And I did upward basketball and opened the doors for people and basically just ran a little gym.
That upward basketball is great, too.
And then they didn't have anybody teaching youth, so I eventually I started doing that, and they asked me, will you do this full time? I was like, no. Because I was like, if I become a youth pastor, then you look at the youth pastor 10 years in the churches, it's 18 months till they move on to the next guy.
Yeah.
So I was like, nah, no thanks. But then after several strikeouts, with some people they were going to bring on, I was like, all right, I'll do it.
And you jumped into how old do you think you were when you became a youth pastor?
24, 25.
How long did you do that youth pastor
I was
work?
there for 6 years.
Okay.
Wow.
And then we moved to another church in Phoenix City, Alabama. But here's the thing. After college, so in college I started borrowing people's Adderall.
Adderall's big in college.
Oh, buddy, yeah.
It's big in college. It really is. It's a problem in college.
Oh, it's a problem
But
everywhere.
it's everywhere in college.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
The problem is I'm an addict.
Yeah.
I
Once you get on something, it's hard to
you
turn
go
it
full
off.
bore.
And I went full bore for 22 years.
Oh, wow.
Just
Wow.
Adderall.
No,
We don't have to go into
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
No, there was so with
Different
That's
thing.
a very strong drug, though.
yeah, and I didn't take it normally either.
Right.
So and that's why
Right.
I say I'm an addict. Like from the moment I took it, I was like, yeah, one's not enough. I just kept taking it.
Yeah. Well, after the show, we'll get Juice take off his boot, and he'll show you the needle marks between his toes.
So
My friend Juice is clean. He's clean Juice. He's that clean Juice.
Yeah, I'm actually only 32.
That's how much I use.
so that became a underlying
Yeah.
issue for me
While you were doing ministry.
Yeah.
So you're going through. So you're cycling through. You're doing the whole trauma cycle while you're doing it, right? Because you're feeling the need to do Adderall because you can't. You don't feel like you can perform or hit the right thing or whatever it is, right? And then you're circling through. When you're done with it, then you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I need to go and pray it off.
There's
and
shame.
and guilt, and
Shame.
everything else. And then you want to hide a little bit, and then you come through. And so
Cycle.
I've talked about this before. I think it was last episode possibly that we were talking about that cycle, or a couple episodes ago now that we were talking about the addiction cycle where it goes quick. It just turns quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when speed,
Well, sometimes it can be long. Like some people, when you first get into it, right, it can be your cycle to do everything, get to hit that shame, and then start over. It could be a week, but then once you get into it,
Give me an hour.
it could be an hour. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, speed's your drug
Yeah.
of choice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
That's a hard train to
That's
get
a
off of.
hard train to get off. That's
Right.
a hard train to get off.
How'd you get to sleep? Did you have to take anything to sleep?
How did I get to sleep? Well, I'd go sometimes 2-3 days without
Right.
sleep.
I know.
So,
And then your body
I mean,
gets
it's basically one molecule from meth.
It's
What is? Since you've brought it up, I didn't really have that all prepped, but which is fine. We're in
I
the
told you I'm
ADD.
going to take you
I
on
was
a
giving
trail.
you-
over
I
here.
was giving you on this, but your family though, because I know, man, what I haven't told my audience is that I know Jared because his daughter and my youngest, his oldest daughter and my youngest daughter, are doubles partners on the high school tennis team.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense.
So they have become very good friends during the season, and I've had a chance to just sit with Jared and listen to his story. And when you hear his story, and then we're going to talk about the safe in the Panhandle as well and what you're doing with them. But when you hear his story, I just but it's interesting because I see his family too. And so a lot of times when you're going through all that, like your family is so close, and I see the people around you and how close you are with your children and your daughters and your sons and your wife. And I met your parents yesterday, and it was great to see them and them being in town. How did what was the chaos like? Were you able to kind of keep it on the DL for a long time and then it'd pop up? Or how did that work in your family? And then how did you kind of keep it all together when you came out of it?
Well, our family hashtag is literally Cartee Chaos.
Cartee chaos.
I mean, that's my wife's Instagram
It is.
name.
Yeah.
It's a loud house.
Right.
It's a loud house. I'm a hyper human being. My kids are pretty hyper too. For years. I mean, I was 23 when I first got on Adderall.
Yeah. Was it prescribed?
Yeah. And that was also how I justified it so much.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
And
100%.
it has been a beautiful thing, me going into recovery. So I've been sober for a little over 2 years now.
congrats.
And the thing is so many of my longtime friends be like, they'll be like, Jared, I'll say I'm in recovery. I'm like, you're an addict? Oh, yeah.
Wow.
But it was, in the season when I first went to rehab, when I was like, I got to go get some help. And for years, Julia told me, it's like, Jared, you've got an addiction problem. You need to go get some help. I'd be like, no, I don't. I'll stop.
Right.
But I couldn't.
You never did cold turkey like for a month or
So
something.
she stayed with you the whole.
I know
through
that
it the entire
when
way.
I first, people be like, I can't believe she stayed with you. I'm like, well, I'm not that bad. But I look at it, I was like, she stayed with me.
Yeah.
No, it's been.
It's not easy. It's not easy for a wife to do that. And I always talk about like addiction being one of those things, though, that you're in a car, and the person, the addict, is driving the car. The wife's just a passenger. The kids are just passengers. And so when that thing finally crashes out, they're all victims.
They're all still
of
there.
something
I mean-
of you driving the car.
Yeah, recovery is not just the addict. It's a family process.
Yeah.
And since we moved down here, I've gotten real involved with the Camel Club here in Santa Rosa.
Okay.
And the 12-step, I am a full believer in the 12 steps.
It works.
We talked about it. We talked about it with Shinholster for sure. It's a biblical
works.
basis too. Yeah.
But no, so as a young child, my first visual memory, I was 5. My dad and brother and I were fishing under a bridge. And sorry, I'm going to bunny trail here, but we'll explain some of the substance abuse.
Yeah, we only got a couple hours.
But no, we were fishing under a bridge in between Jackson and Leroy, and I can see it to this day. I think it was around 10 in the morning. A lady found out from north of town, found out she had cancer, and she drove up to the bridge, and she jumped off, and she landed about from me to that wall.
Oh, my
beside
word.
Us. So my first...
It's all good, man.
Sound effect.
Dramatic
You just a
effect.
hand,
Yeah, I didn't
you
do
just a
that.
hand talker. You just a hand talker. That's all.
So,
She had a lot of trauma from that, I'm sure.
So that and I didn't really talk about it a lot. Then I had something big happen when I was 7, where I was abused by another teenager.
Yeah.
And I did not. This would be the first time publicly I've said on any kind of medium, but I did not speak about it until I went to rehab 2 years ago. And it was
and to deal with that trauma, you don't realize what happens when you're a 7-year-old or
and I just kept
those emotions.
I just kept it bottled up. I never spoke to anyone about it. And of course, there's the shame that follows that.
Yeah.
But it was at rehab. There was a man who was speaking about it, and he goes, "I know there's some of you out here that this happened to," and immediately got up and vomited. And one of the old counselors there, he came in. His name was Charles. He goes, "I was wondering when you was going to break Cartee." So, but I look at
great.
So to answer your question, it's been a beautiful thing for my family for us to walk through that. One, it just makes me love my wife even more.
Sure.
That when I was not the leader, I wasn't the husband that my family needed, that she literally took up the mantle and carried us.
Yeah.
So, which now is great because and you're talking about advice to young couples.
Yeah.
Go to counseling. Go to marriage counseling before
100%.
there's an issue.
100%. When
do
I
some
marry
preventive maintenance.
Invest in your marriage.
When I marry someone, and I usually do pre-marital counseling, and so I've had the honor to marry a number of couples, and so far I'm batting 100. So nobody's gotten divorced, so I'm feeling pretty good right now. But I always tell them after I go through the premarital counseling with them, and I say, look, you need to find a licensed couples counselor and set a date for 6 months after your marriage right now. And it's the advice I give everybody. So many have taken it. Some I really don't know if they did. But the thing is if you make the appointment when everything's good, it's not going to get to there and go, somebody comes in and goes, you got a problem, we need to see a counselor. That's usually what happens. It's very rarely is that somebody goes, I've got a problem.
At that point.
Well, it doesn't work well. But
good,
if you have a set appointment, then you just go and you talk about it and you get through it and you build. Especially in the beginning, you can build better, healthier communication. So you're spot on with the advice for sure.
So, no, but it's been awesome. One for my kids. I'm thankful that most of them are older. I mean, I've got a senior, junior, freshman, 7th grader, and a kindergartner.
And they can comprehend. They can understand.
Yeah, I mean, my 4 older kids, I've been very honest
open
with
and
them.
honest with them, which is I think a vulnerability as a father is pretty powerful.
And when we first moved down here, I respected all of them as they were building relationships with friends and finding their own little mini communities here. I was like, I'm not going to be real open and about the recovery part just on social media. And I'm not posting. I'll like some stuff here and there, but this
gonna blow up. It's gonna blow up now.
So this is kind of my first foray into. All right, it's time to start. One, I love sponsoring addicts here. But this is not becoming my platform. But it's a tool that God's given me that I'm going to use.
Well, and if you can share the love of Jesus through any way possible, I mean, by all means, possibly be all things, all people, win some. So I think you've got to use your talents and what God's given you, and the bad things too.
Your experiences.
Yeah, the experiences. Yeah. Well, Revelations, I just had lunch with a guy the other day, and we were talking about something, and he was just like, we were saying how we love to hear stories. I mean, he was a podcaster, I'm a podcaster, and it's like, I love to hear stories, I love to hear all that. But what I told him is Revelation says that we are saved by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And that testimony is so powerful. That's what you don't realize. That's why, like a place like North Point, when they do baptisms, they put together a full 90-second to 2-minute production of somebody telling their testimony, and then it spotlights them about to be baptized, because why they started believing in Jesus and saying, I want to place my life and faith and trust in Him. Why they got to there and why they're there getting baptized is important for everybody else to hear.
So the whether it's the trauma and then the struggle with whether I was called to ministry, it always became self-doubt. And once I started taking substances that changed how I felt about myself, and especially that's why Adderall became such a big thing, is I felt confident or overly confident.
I can see that.
So I had all these expectations for my life that that I hadn't quite hit, and then that whole circle of shame would start.
Yeah.
But once the addiction, once it really got in there, I couldn't get rid of it. So I got sick in 2019.
Yeah.
So I left the ministry in 2011, and I worked for an ice company in Dallas, and my wife was a stay-at-home mom, and I was using pretty heavily then to power me through. I was doing sales.
Yeah.
And then I lost that job. I burned that bridge pretty good. We moved to Mobile, and that was when my wife started her business in Plexus.
Okay.
And when it started to take off and she started to build a big team, or a great team, she was like, Jared, I was working for a stock market education company.
Okay.
And she was like, I think it's about time you can probably come home and be a stay-at-home dad and let me do it. And she was thinking like a month from now. I went to work the next day, and I was back at 8:10 at the house. She's like, what'd you do? I was like, quit my job. I quit. You said I was quitting.
God,
She said,
that's
I could. She was
hilarious.
like, I didn't mean now. I was like, too bad.
Oh my gosh.
I'm cooking breakfast now.
That is,
I'm
gotta be more
cooked.
specific.
I'm
here. I'm here, baby.
You just gave me the green light.
And she did. And I took it.
I'm not doing the dishes or the laundry. I'm just staying at home with
I'm
the
teaching
kids.
the kids how to do the laundry.
Yeah. I can train. I can
delegating.
supervise.
I
and
can
teach.
delegate. Yeah.
Good
really
for
good at
you.
that. I can't believe you followed DeMarcus Ware to Dallas.
That's what I mean. That was all the goal all along.
That was the goal all along.
It's
So you came down here. You're not doing ministry anymore, but I do want to ask you one question about your time as a youth pastor. What is the craziest thing you ever did for an analogy sort of game or whatever at a youth camp or in your Wednesday night or Thursday night youth? I've seen some absolutely off the wall games in youth ministry, and I'd love to hear.
I'm trying to remember something.
What your games. I've seen. I'll tell you my funniest one I ever saw, but I want to hear yours.
One of the worst analogies, probably what got one of the parents maddest at me one time.
I want to hear it. Yes. What? At church?
No. So if you take fresh garlic, take a fresh garlic clove, and you have a kid
I'm listening.
before youth, take it and put it in his sock. On his foot. So if you take garlic and you hold it, or for Garrett's case, Garrett put it in his sock, and the whole point was I'd read that over time your skin will absorb the garlic.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Okay.
And I used it as an example to all the other kids.
Over time, you absorb Jesus.
I was looking at garlic as sin, though.
Oh, okay. All right.
And
I
if
see
you
the analogy.
if you he hit it in his sock, and over
They're
time,
hiding sin. It's permeating through you.
So over time, I'm like, hey, Garrett, what's going on? He goes, it smells garlic. I'm like, all right. And then after about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I was probably teaching way too long that day. Somebody goes, Garrett smells like garlic. And then when he got home, he smelled like garlic for 2 days.
2 days.
His mom was so.
I'm telling you, it's on me
Yeah.
for 2 days if I eat that stuff.
But
I love it.
That wasn't the craziest. We had a fuge. Are you familiar with centrifuge?
That
feels
sounds like
familiar.
a
It's
spin.
It's like summer camps. It was
Yeah.
actually in Edgewater.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Now,
right.
the biggest secret I kept one time is I had some kids in my youth group go, and they've actually pooped in the fuge cup.
Oh,
And the counselors,
Nice.
had to clean it up, and I kept my mouth shut. And the counselors came back to my church the next year, and they were telling the story, and I'm like,
Oh,
sorry guys,
Got
those are
'em.
my kids.
yeah. Did you tell them, or you just kind of held that one? They know now.
Oh, they know now.
They know now.
I know.
I know some
know
stories
now.
about Jason that's not on this podcast, but he went to church camp.
Oh,
Such
yeah.
good story.
Oh yeah. Well, we
tell
snuck
some.
out. We snuck out on Thomas Drive. I've told that story I think on the show before.
have you?
We snuck out one time. Well, they had the outdoor motel room kind of deal at Thomas Drive. There was a youth camp when I went way back when. Petra.
That's probably the one I went to because it was like
It's right
that.
on Thomas
It was
Drive
like an
and-
old school hotel looking
Yes,
thing.
and it had a pool in the center of it.
Yep.
But then we
It's
had
like a
rooms
U shape or
and-
something.
But they had these big palladium glass windows and then the door. And our counselors would take tape, and it's been a while since I told this story, so I'll tell it. But they would take duct tape and they would duct tape our doors so that they know at night, because you didn't have a counselor necessarily in every kid's bedroom back then. Now you might. I don't know if you might do that now. I don't know. But so they just taped the door. And then they'd know if the door was broken, the duct tape would be impossible to get that tape back on. Yeah. But the glass window slid, and they taped the window. And so we would go out the glass window and go down to the beach, and we were right next to Spinnaker's and Club La Vila. And all that.
Okay. We'd not see what I went to.
Sir Mix-a-Lot was playing one time, and so he snuck out. And we were on the beach listening to Sir Mix-a-Lot. What's funny is I've told that story to Mike with Floors.com, and he grew up in Panama City. He goes, I think I was actually in that concert. Like his dad was like a bouncer or something like that at a lot of this stuff. So he's like, he'd get into those places. He's like, I saw Sir Mix-a-Lot there. And I was like, well, you were probably inside. I was outside when that was going on. So I did that one. The funniest example I ever had at youth was this young man. They called a young kid up, and they played this game where you put a coin on your forehead. So if you're listening to this, you just try to visualize it. They'd have kids all standing on this stage, and they'd put a coin on their forehead, and the youth minister or whatever would show them how to do it. And he'd take a funnel and he'd put it kind of in his pants waistband, in his pants, and you would drop your head and try to land the coin into the funnel. And so they'd tell everybody to get ready, and we'll see who can do it the fastest. And they'd all look up, and they say, hold up, I'll count to 3, and I'll tell you when you can drop your head. So all these 3 contestants up there, youth contestants, are up there with their heads staring straight at the ceiling. And then the youth pastor and some other people, parents or whatever, would come and pour water right into the funnels.
Oh, no.
So it all looked like they peed themselves. So that was probably the funniest thing I ever saw at a youth camp. So yeah, I've seen it all. I've seen people electric shock. I've just seen crazy stuff.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff.
We had kids shooting people with an airsoft gun at Edgewater. The police came.
Get you in trouble?
The police came. They're like, "What do you want to do?" I was like, "Well, can you put them back in the car for a minute just to scare the mess out of them?" Not going to name those 2 twins by name. They are terrible. You know who you are, Ross and Garrett.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Hey y'all, new customer of True North Pest Control here on the Emerald Coast, Central Florida, Georgia. You got to check them out.
Yeah, they get rid of all the unwanted pests in your house, including termites and mosquitoes. Tell them the jabroni sent you. Back to the show.
So I do want to jump into Safe from the Panhandle now. I'd like to talk about that a little bit and kind of move towards, I know you've got this heart for Jesus. We've talked about you getting into ministry, kind of diving in the recovery world, and that's gotten you kind of this idea that you're seeing different things. In part, I think recovery opens you up to the idea that you can see things that break Jesus's heart.
Yeah.
And so what got you involved in Safe? And tell us a little bit about Safe in the Panhandle. We know, by the way, you can find it at www, which I don't think you have to say anymore. Just age myself. I'm a dad from the 1900s. But yeah, HTTPS ... No, but so it's safeinthepanhandle.com. Yeah. Safeinthepanhandle.com. That's where you can go. Safeinthepanhandle.com. But tell us about that, Jerry.
All right, so Safe in the Panhandle it's a group of people that dare to ask the question, how do we enforce labor and sex trafficking in the Panhandle?
Right.
And when I moved down here, I was starting over. I was looking for something to do with my hands. I grew up in Leroy. I'd done some farming growing up, but I knew there were some men that had bought a farm up in the Funiac, and they were building a working farm that would fund the activities of Safe in the Panhandle. And Safe in the Panhandle is an alliance of individuals and groups and organizations that are working together to, again, end sex trafficking. Florida is a hub of sex trafficking in the U.S. It ranks 3rd in number of sex trafficking incidents that are reported.
So we're like right behind Atlanta?
Yeah.
No, wow. I mean, it's got to be California, Texas, Florida, right?
I think Atlanta, the Hartsfield-Jackson is a big
airport.
one. It's also crazy enough. It's because almost from anywhere in the world you can fly into Atlanta, and then you fly right back out. So if you're in Chicago and you were flying in, you can fly in and traffic somebody or abuse someone in a way, and then fly right back out. So that's why Atlanta tends to be a hub a lot.
So Safe, whether it's education, awareness, we work with law enforcement agencies in Florida and around the country, other organizations that have developed apps that help find
Okay.
catch solicitations. But
Do you work with that? Ashton Kutcher used to do some stuff like that, or he had something that was in, I feel like, human trafficking and sex trafficking. I don't know. He had an app I think he was developing.
But we have a farm in the county where we have about 160 mandarin orange trees.
Ooh, nice.
20 beehives now. Just had 15 more added this week.
Are they actually doing good? I know
bees?
the bee population is struggling right now.
Not doing bad. Not
Okay,
doing bad.
good.
When we first started, we started with 8, but then we lost a few queens. But then it's growing. We just planted 1,500 blueberry bushes last week.
That's right.
Oh, awesome.
He came to a tennis match and could barely walk.
You're saying all the things my daughter eats: blueberries,
honey.
oranges.
I could barely. Last week, my hamstrings were about to snap. I did not anticipate how hard it was going to be to plant the smallest plant.
Yeah.
So it wore
When
me
you get
out.
a line,
And
yeah.
I'm kind of out of shape too. But then we'll eventually have a Christmas tree farm, and
Oh, heck yeah.
so women that we rescue out of trafficking. So the farm's called Ruth Lake Farms.
Okay.
We'll sell the products, and it will fund our work.
Safe in the Panhandle.
Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
cool.
And if people want to get involved in that, I assume they can go to safeinthepanhandle.com. I know there's a donate button. We're looking at the website
there's a
right
donate,
now. Donate button.
contact.
I imagine they can contact you and figure out maybe how they can volunteer and all that, all through the website. I
So
assume,
I
right?
am our. So I came here and started just helping them with the farm work.
Right.
But I fell in love with the project, and the more I'm learning about just the sex trafficking, the stories that I've heard, I mean, the women we've already rescued here, it just breaks your heart.
Local here.
Yeah, local.
Right here.
It's not just it's not like the movie Taken.
Right.
I think it's just you travel overseas, your dog gets snatched up, put in the drug trade, and sold. I mean,
It's a slow fade.
It's much more.
A boyfriend
sick and-
starts liking you, and then the next thing you know, he's not really your boyfriend. He starts taking advantage of you, and then you're in a way, and you're separated and isolated from your family. I mean, the stories are insane for sure. My wife worked with a group in Atlanta that was, I don't know why the name's slipping me. If I think about it, I'll throw it up because they do a great job too. But she went through a background check and all this stuff so that she could kind of volunteer with the ladies group that was helping getting women out of the trafficking. I mean, it's a question I have with you. Most of the time we think of slavery today as kind of like if people are listening to this and they hear the word sex trafficking or modern day slavery is what I like to call it.
Yeah.
When they hear that word, they would say, I thought slavery was over. The Civil War is done. I mean, what does slavery look like today?
I mean, there are more people in slavery and forced labor today than there has been in the history of the slave trade.
Yes.
One, there's more people today than there was then.
So it's not like we've ended slavery.
No,
because we've
gotten
evolved
worse.
as people.
Worldwide.
It's gotten worse.
But even here, I mean, it's in plain sight here. There are people that are being forced into labor, whether it's massage parlors. I mean,
Well, that's trafficking. That's
this is not.
yeah.
People don't like this number, but 96% of massage parlors in Florida are illicit.
100%.
And
That's crazy.
these girls come here promised on scholarship for a better future, for a job that's going to pay, but they come here in debt bondage, and they
work it off.
but they don't. They don't
They'll
work it
never
off.
work it off. Never work it off their entire life.
So there are ways, and I don't want to give away all our ways of doing it, but ways of getting into these massage parlors to be able to, and the language barrier becomes an issue too.
Sure.
Very few of them speak English.
They know what they need to say to a client.
Yeah,
and that's
the hardest thing is getting the girls to say, and a lot of people turn a blind eye. They go, well, they're prostitutes. You know, they're choosing to do that.
Yeah.
Well, when they come here and they're in debt bondage and they don't have anything. There's, for example, Dargay is a girl who came from Venezuela. I guess this was last year. Well, when she got to the border, she's come here legally. She was told by her sponsor, "You can't work for a year, but we're going to fly you out to New York." So they picked her up at the border. They flew her to New York. She was 21. She had 2 kids back home. When they got her to New York, they got her hooked on drugs, and they sent her down here to Destin.
really.
Yeah, and she was. Anyway, the way they found her is a hotel worker that we had trained noticed that the room that she was in, it was just a constant rotation of men coming in.
So does she have a point of contact here then, or how does
she
that?
had no one.
They just
so we
sent
were
her
able to
down.
rescue her.
They send her down to work.
By
Money
herself
for 'em.
though, with nobody watching her.
It's a big organ because there's somebody here that's a handler.
Oh, there's
It's
also-
somebody here. to
That's
handle
who we need to find is that person.
it. Well, yeah. I mean, fuck. Juice went deep. Juice went deep. No FCC, baby. But when you say you train the hotel staff, what does that look like?
So
can you say that? What does that look like when you're training hotel staff?
We have people, part of our team that will go in and train them how to spot it, because that's the key. I mean, for any of us,
how do we know?
be able to spot, like, all right, let's say a girl gets brought into the hospital. I mean, training in hospitals is a big thing. It's a young girl and her uncle or cousin brings her in. If the girl is, when the nurse or whoever, the attendee is asking them questions, if they consistently look at the uncle or the cousin or the brother
for answers,
there's a high chance. It's a sign, hey, maybe I should get this girl alone.
Big red flag.
And ask some questions.
I did this with my wife when she broke her knee. She fell off the ladder, chipped a bone in her knee.
Is that the story you're still trying to tell?
Multiple times if I did it. I was like, unfortunately, I didn't see it happen because I was laughing. I didn't know it was that bad. I didn't know it was that bad until she was like, all right, it actually hurts pretty bad. So, but yeah, they kept asking her that. I'm like, damn, they really think I pushed her off the ladder. But they were trained. I guess they were trained to do that. Yeah.
All right, where are we at?
No, you're just saying how you're training and the different things that go on and how you were training hotels. You're trying to give them the warning signs of this could be sex trafficking. And so then when you're training them, would they call somebody like your organization, Safe in the Panhandle, the organization involved in it?
A lot of times,
or would they just call the police?
Call the police, or call us, and we'll contact police. We work in concert with a lot of the law enforcement around here. And from even we do trainings at churches, so it's not just businesses, but individuals in the community. If they want to come to one of the trainings, just so they can have their
spot it
eyes
as well
open.
too. Yeah. So the jabronis could show up and get trained and
we'll come do a training here.
That'd be great. We ought to do it one time. That'd be awesome. Yeah, what we can look out for and help out. One of the things you do see here in this county and in other counties, these massage parlors. Why is it so hard? If 96% of them are illicit, why is it so hard to shut them down?
Well, one, having somebody actually speak up, and if they don't speak any English,
so you've got to have the victim, you've got to have the person, and they don't know where to go.
Another area where people don't think of is online here, or just in all over our country. So you have the most vulnerable population. I don't want to.
No, I do. No, please tell me. I mean, what is the most vulnerable?
The most vulnerable are kids.
Really?
I mean, the kids.
Because they don't even know what they're doing.
Even here.
How is this possible?
You have bad actors that saddle up next to them on social media pretending to be someone they're not. So whether like here, sextortion, like you'll have someone saddle up with a kid like, hey, I go to your school, I'm friends with so and so. They'll get enough information about the person, the fish, and then they'll start making connections, and they'll use their spicy pics that they end up sending to sextort them. They stole them for money.
Wow.
God.
So that may not look like sex trafficking to someone, but it's using something against the kid. And then, I mean, whether it's cheer competitions, there are lots of ways for sexual predators to get to these kids. So
they're super vulnerable. What can parents do to be more?
One, be very mindful of the apps. I like Bark.
Okay,
my kids, Bark is an app that monitors their app usage and will send you reports to. All right, this is what they're saying in text messages. But just being aware.
We had an app when our kids were really coming through. At this point, I've got two older ones, 21 and almost 20.
Jackson needs it still.
Yeah. I think I might have finally taken Bark off, but I think that's what we used to.
But I mean, sex trafficking or exploitation is happening in every community in the U.S. It's not just in metro areas.
Wow.
I mean, if you have access to the internet, there are people being manipulated. I mean, let's take OnlyFans, for instance.
Yeah.
It's a big site.
It's a million women or something.
I mean, people think that it's just people willingly doing it, but some women, porn.
Okay, that makes sense.
When you watch,
they're forced into it.
When someone's consuming porn, they never know if the woman is doing it willingly.
Yeah.
Is
What's
she being
the director
raped?
behind there?
Is there a pimp that's controlling her, that's having her do these sex acts because she didn't have a choice?
We don't even think, guys don't, you're just consuming. In fact, it's something that we were just talking with there's a meeting here in the pod area in the building earlier, and Juice and I, we were all talking, and you might have had a chance to meet Mike, who is an ex-FBI agent, and we happened to be talking about that we were having you on with Safe in the Panhandle, and he was just sharing that that the 100% nobody really goes into that willingly. It's always extorted, it's always something, it's always there's no by choice. But the other flip side of it is it's supply and demand. If there was no demand for
That's
it,
right.
there wouldn't even. We could shut it, guys. We could shut it down.
Shut it down
right now. We could shut it down right now by elevating women and treating them with the honor and respect that they deserve through your eyes, your heart, and your ears. We could shut it down right now.
That's right.
Yeah, the more consumption of pornography,
the demand is there.
It's just like a drug. I mean, I look at it as drug addiction.
Yeah.
Once someone gets
100%.
addicted
The
to porn,
dopamine in your head and all that,
it's going to become more deviant, more deviant, because they're never going to satisfy that addiction they have. And it is, I mean,
it's an addiction.
It's a cancer.
Well, it's an absolute ridiculous barrier too for women. I mean, when you're choosing to go down that world, like whatever you're seeing online, whatever that you're seeing there, that is not how intimacy in the bedroom looks like. And so the expectation you're providing, that you're setting, for
especially if you're like
spouse or
16
mate
or something,
whatever,
and never even
never
done anything, and you're like seeing all this stuff.
It's not going to be like
God,
that.
It's
not like that. And that's not how it should ever be seen. What goes on?
It's got so much different from when we grew up, because we didn't have
we didn't have the internet
phones. Well, we did, but not
the same way.
Well, you're in Indiana, but I'm just saying, like, we couldn't consume it like that. So I can't imagine now being that age.
I remember I talked with an older gentleman one time, and he was sharing with me his addiction. And of course, wouldn't say his name, but he was sharing with me his addiction. It happened to be around the porn, and he said, I did it for so long. I remember having to sit and wait on dial-up. I mean, now you've got I don't even know what it'd be like now with
3 hours to watch something.
Terabyte. Yeah, right. And I laugh at it, and it was his joke. I mean, he knew it was bad. And but it was kind of a joke that he had. I've been doing it so long, I remember dial-up. But you're right. I mean, it's definitely but it's always been there. I mean, you go back to the saloon days in Western. Yeah. I mean, it's been around. I mean, Europe, you had madams and all of this. I mean, this stuff is
it's nothing new.
No, it's not. It's been around forever. I mean, concubines in Egypt. I mean, there's just all of these different things. It goes back throughout history.
Now, to go back to who are the most vulnerable, kids in the foster system.
Okay,
kids in foster care.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Runaways, and people in extreme poverty.
Yeah.
So one thing I have here is I don't really have a name for it, but I'm working with several churches in the area where I'm trying to model a program for them to encourage the church bodies, to build relationships with the J-1 visa workers we have here. Because a lot of them,
J-1 visa, for the audience and listeners that don't live here, can you give a heads up what that is?
International workers that are coming here on a work visa.
Right.
A lot of times,
Eastern Europe, I've seen a lot from Eastern Europe.
They also come seasonality, too, from some of the
like 8
islands.
months out of the year normally.
To come out of the islands and work some of the resort areas and the beaches and in the back, all the stuff that we need help with.
There's a lot in Sandusky,
Yeah.
A lot of them get approached by traffickers or pimps because all they're doing is they're coming here to work.
Mm-hmm.
They're not coming here to have a social life, and they're just here to make money.
Right.
Well, they'll have somebody saddle up with them, kind of like these kids. If you have a teenage daughter and they have somebody that's showering them with gifts, giving them cash, a lot of these guys will say, "Here's $500. Don't worry about paying me back." These are the J-1 workers I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Approaching them, "Here's $500. Don't worry about it." Come back a couple weeks later, like, "I need that money." Well, they've either sent it home or they spent it. Like, "Well, I'm going to need you to do this for me. I need you to go on a date with a friend." And that's how
it goes.
Wow. How quick
that easy.
Wow. And once you get it hooked the one time, it's like, well, what are you going to do now?
Yeah. I mean, once you
shame, guilt, everything else
once they have the fear that something's going to happen, like, "I'm going to talk to your sponsor. I'm going to get you sent back.
Something's going to happen.
Like,
yeah.
It's sick.
Super vulnerable. Wow. Well, and folks in that world, they know how to manipulate, and they know the buttons to push and the things to go down. Yeah. Well, I think it's incredible work what you guys are doing, and I'm not actually getting off of it. But one of the things I do want to ask before we move on to the next segment is sometimes I think when we're saying all this, we might hear victimless crime. We've kind of talked about that. It's not a victimless crime. These girls don't want to be involved and don't want to do it. But we think, well, I didn't know about it. I didn't know what was going on. I mean, how does this even affect me? How does this affect me? What does it do with my community? Why do I need to be concerned about this?
You got a daughter?
I do. I have two.
What would you do if she was being trafficked?
I would absolutely.
I'd be in jail after what
Liam
I've done.
I would hunt whatever it is. Yeah, Liam Neeson. Yeah.
Which golly, it's thinking that movie. I mean, how hard it would be to even find her at that point.
Well, and I don't have the same skills he had in that movie. But
I'm not sure he really had that. No,
I don't think we are talking Hollywood here. Again, it's not how it happened. But yeah, I mean, you go to the depths of you go to the ends of the earth. You go to the ends of the earth.
Ends of the earth.
So, I can show you. I can't do it right now, but I can show you girls in the area that they're being trafficked. Girls that we've rescued, and every girl out there, and it's not just girl.
Yeah,
everyone being trafficked is someone's daughter, is someone's wife, is someone's sister, is someone's son, and they all are. It's happening to them without their consent,
right?
Or they're being forced into it, and that they're finding. They can't find any hope to get out.
Yeah.
So just because I can't see it, and I'm not, just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not happening.
No.
And the key is to get trained.
Yeah.
To learn how to spot
what to look for or what to see.
So I've gotten very involved with the high schools.
Well, do you want that going on in your community? I mean, I think we have to wake up. You don't want that in your community. You don't want the people that are willing to do that to the most vulnerable in your community. I mean, I know our community is better than that, and if you're listening, I'm sure your community is better than that. And what can you do? I think that's a great advice to get trained.
And part of it is I love, you talked about elevating women and tackling the porn epidemic. Mm-hmm. And I call it an epidemic. Tackling the porn epidemic is one of the crucial steps of stopping human exploitation. It's because the objectifying of the subjects in porn, and that, again, just fueling that cycle and that desire for a person to dive further into it. Yeah. I mean, killing the porn epidemic is one of the first steps to stopping.
For sure.
But having people's eyes open to, all right, how do I see it? Like I was talking about the kids earlier, like the teachers in the schools here, like do they notice erratic changes in the kids' behavior? Are they noticing that? Are they noticing? Wow, they're wearing a lot of designer clothes now. And there's a lot of designer clothes going on.
I think demeanor would definitely change. Yeah, so, demeanor and all that. Yeah.
Or do they seem to
be absent more?
Yeah. Or are they missing a lot of school? Now, coming from the Cartees, we miss a decent amount of school. Okay,
I missed a couple days.
I've never been a perfect attendance like that.
I never got that certificate.
Yeah. You know, they got high blood pressure. People that got perfect attendance, they got high blood pressure.
So I think we do need to get involved. We do need to look for those signs. I think that's a great thing. I also think if you're in this community, we need to find the places in your community. So I know for us, Safe in the Panhandle is a great place, but every place you should dive in. I know if you're in the Atlanta area, we've got a lot of Atlanta listeners. Maybe you're in Indiana. There's places in Indiana. Like find some of these all across the country. Places like Safe in the Panhandle and places like that are starting to pop up saying, hey, we see a need for sex trafficking. You can even go to, I think, endslavery.com and check out them. They'll have resources all across our country that you could get involved with and learn better signs and learn how to be aware of it, because you're right. We need to be better in our community, I think you're right. So Safe at the Panhandle, and we need to stop this porn epidemic. You're 100% correct.
Is porn legal in every country, or what's
so every state's starting to get different.
I know
Florida
they are
passed a law in Florida. I just saw the other day that was kind of like
I think it was
something to stop certain sites from even being able to come in.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's actually all like you have to identify that you are an adult. That you can do it or whatever, or something like that. You got to put out your name, license, or whatever. I think it's something that I'm not sure. I think a lot of states are adopting this really to help it purveying into each person. And I'm not a big fan of the government mandating it. I just think as human beings, we need to be better.
Yeah, I just didn't know if other countries, is America the only country that you can actually watch porn in?
Well, I don't believe so. I don't think so. I don't know that. I don't think so. You know, we were just down in Dominican Republic and turned on the TV and we're flipping through the channels, and you know 2 or 3 channels.
That happened in Cabo.
Don't go to those channels, kids. Don't go to those channels. How do I take these channels off? And it was the craziest thing. It's just part of like NBC, ABC. Oh, okay. And it's like, what is going on? But we don't think about it. I think education, too, with men, especially, not that women can't get addicted to porn, because I think they're starting to see that tick up. There are studies, by the way, scientific studies, counseling studies, mental health studies. Just Google it. There's not a person on the planet that says porn is the best thing that you could ever do. There's not one. In fact, they'll all tell you that it is going to change your relationships.
It's going to change how you see people.
It changes 100%. Your brain chemically.
100%. And that's what I mean. There's scientific
kids are
experiments. 100%.
I asked my girls, like, when's the floored? It was like 12 years old. I'm like,
the exposure with the exposure. We, my wife and I learned when it was. I think that this was years ago when our kids were coming up. I think it was like young men can be exposed, young boys as early as like 5 or 6.
Crazy. They weren't looking for it.
Women, girls, it just shows up. Exactly. It just shows up.
Instagram.
100%.
Yeah.
I can remember my son, he's going to hate this story that I'm telling right now, but when he was younger and he had some kids over and he got an iPad and they were all sitting around, and I guess he got his mom's iPad, and of course they Googled boobs, and everything shot up, right? And all this was on there, and then my wife happened to be having her iPad, and I think she just was Googling something, show your history, if you're hitting close. And so she looked at me and she's like, Jason, were you on this iPad? I was like, well, first off, boobs is probably, a little elementary for baby. So what would late 20, early 30 guy, So, so we immediately knew we need to sit down with our son and talk to him about what's healthy and what's not. And I think
that's a great parenting, though.
But if you're a parent out there, I think it is going to happen in today's society. Your kids, if they're above the age of 5, 6, 7 years old, they've probably seen it. So you need to be aware of it, and you need to have those conversations.
Yeah, if you look at, I pulled up some stats from it'd be better if I read it. The Deputy Chief, Alexandra Gelber, with the Criminal Division's Child Exploitation Obscenity Section, the U.S. Department of Justice. All right, since 2021 to 2023, there has been a 323% increase in reports of predators grooming and coercing children online.
Yeah.
In 2024 alone, there are 456,000 cases of online enticement. And since 2002, since they've started recording it, they've reviewed more than 425 million images of child sex abuse material online. That's not
wow.
Think about that number.
Wow.
If that's not evidence that it is just an
epidemic. 100%.
And sex trafficking, human exploitation is the fastest growing criminal activity in the U.S. right now.
Yeah.
We got to get better.
You can sell, let's think about a drug dealer. You can sell a drug one time.
Yeah.
And it's consumed. You can sell a kid 100 times.
Yeah, wow.
Oh,
or more. Not to make this the most dour podcast.
It's good stuff. And
people watch this stuff.
Again, men, we need to lock arms. If you're listening to this right now, find you like 3 other dudes and say, we're going to hold each other accountable on this.
That's right.
Because I think if we can hold each other accountable on this, and you may think that person's perfect, well, go to them and then say, hey, it'll be real easy. Find you 3 perfect people and say, we're going to hold each other accountable. Start there. And let's just do this together. Maybe there's a little bit of wildfire from what the hell do I know that can come out and say, we're going to hook arms and we're going to try to hold each other accountable, that we're not going to be involved in this anymore. We're not going to be the demand for that. Because that's what it is. If we're not seeking it, it ain't happening.
Yeah.
It ain't happening. They'll turn to something else, but
what was the movie
happening.
That's made such an impact? I know I saw it.
Sound of Freedom.
Sound of Freedom. If anybody hasn't seen this movie, it's kind of eye-opening.
Is it with the same Jim Caviezel?
Jim Caviezel's the main actor, but I think he's actually playing a real life person.
I think you're right. I think
it's a true story. He went to Mexico.
But the opening 20 minutes will shock you.
Yeah.
You're like, how easy this just happened.
Yeah.
And Jared, you're bringing to light a lot of stuff. If it's out of sight, it's kind of out of mind.
Yeah.
You're saying this is a fast.
Well, that's how it's growing because
nobody's paying attention.
Well, and most guys feel like I can go into my office, I can go into my room, I can go into I'm home alone, whatever it is, and nobody's watching. First
somebody's
off,
always watching.
somebody's always watching.
Hey, you know what? Google keeps track. Even
but
incognito,
but
boys and girls, I'm telling you, Google has every freaking thing.
100%. But like Jared said, you don't know whatever you're watching. You very well may be watching, a rape scene and not even realize it.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah,
you never know.
How crazy! I don't think about it, and it's very eye opening. I remember when I saw the emotions. I cried at that movie.
Yeah,
and I wanted to do something, but nobody knows what to do. So I think that's a great point, JB.
Down here, and I actually, if you're listening to this podcast, I think anywhere you can go safeinthepanhandle.com. You could contact them, and they'll help you find. I'm sure you guys would help them find somebody that they can get involved with. If they're in Indiana or they're in California or Alaska.
If anybody's watching this and you've got a gut feeling something's up, go to this website.
Check it out.
And they got informative videos to watch
100%. So,
you can actually get a really good base training just from
watching the website. Yeah, that's actually
what I'm looking at.
Say the site one more time.
Safeinthepanhandle.com.
Is that at the bottom?
We'll have it thrown up there.
Yeah,
I'll get it thrown up a few times so our viewers can hear it. But we have people that, like I said, we're like a lot of folks drive to work or drive home. So, but safeinthepanhandle.com. And honestly, nowadays you can just type "safe in the panhandle" and pull it right up.
It'll pull up.
We've gotten so much better. You don't have to do the HTTPS slash
software figures it out
or www. Yeah, you don't have to do anything anymore. But you guys are helping when these women getting out of this, they're coming to you and finding solace, refuge. And do you have any counseling and things like that to help them get forward, or you connect them?
We
have resources.
We have resources to get them to safety, to get them the rehabilitation, and then with Ruth Lake Farms, eventually be able to work at the farm.
I gotcha.
Learn some life skills,
and hopefully be able to step out in confidence and freedom.
Yeah.
And life, real. True, meaningful life. The abundant life that Jesus told us is there for us in John 10. Right?
It's been, as Ruth Lake Farm grows, it's been amazing to see it over the past year and a half as we've been cultivating it. I had 70 college students from the University of Cincinnati come down 3 weeks ago. They were on their spring break retreat.
Mission,
and they came down here, and it was the campus ministry I was involved in college. And they called and say, "Hey, do you have any service work you do?" It's like, "Oh boy, dude."
Because you might want to play service.
Absolutely.
Well, we missed the blueberries, but we did have 230 sections of fence around the farm that needed to get
that's
painted.
even better.
And you know what? It got painted.
Man,
it was awesome.
You could put them on the bees too.
When are the blueberries coming to get picked?
They just pruned them. So
it's a fall time.
Is that when?
Right?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Blueberries are fall.
I had a friend of mine, Drew Sewell, and I'm trying to think of Impact. It was Impact Fulton is his charity, Impact Fulton, and Fulton County and this Fulton Boulevard is, I can't remember the exact name of the street, but it's like one of the biggest sections of the area. It's just west of the city of Atlanta, just outside the perimeter, right there on the perimeter. It's one of the biggest throughways in the world for sex trafficking and thoroughfares, I should say. And he had his family and owned a bottling company. So they bottled, just a pretty big company. They bottled a lot of stuff. I think they made the plastic bottles for like even some of the Coke stuff and Coke products. So they put, in fact, a lot of the plastic sort of spray cans, bottles and stuff, and Windex and things like that. Drew's family very well could have made that piece, and sent it to whoever's filling it with whatever they're putting in it, right? But he got off the interstate one day and he saw a young girl, and it's just something pricked his heart in that he saw this girl and kind of wanted to find her. All of a sudden, she was trying to solicit, I think, to a degree, and then he started to drive off, and it was like, he was like, wait, that could, but for Jesus, there goes my daughter.
Yeah.
And he turned around, he spent the whole day trying to find her from hotel to hotel to hotel to hotel, all up and down there, and could not find this girl, and he's convinced today that she was an angel. And just needing to open his eyes, because when that entire day he spent trying to find this girl, like maybe I could save her, the things he saw was like, something's got to change here. So he started putting together these big concerts and trying to find people through that and get them out of that trafficking world, and worked with a lot of other resources and things of that nature in that area. And I think they've even birthed a church out of there. And so Drew's doing a lot of great stuff there in Fulton County there. So,
Anywhere where there is tourism and there's disposable income, there's sex tourism.
Right.
So
That's here.
It doesn't matter if it's here.
Well, Super Bowl.
I mean, Super Bowl's
the number one Super Bowl for sex trafficking
site in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Go to the Super Bowl and they bring in a ton of girls from all over the place. You're exactly right. It's absolutely insane. So again, Safe in the Panhandle. Check them out, safeinthepanhandle.com. This is kind of a weird segue, but I do want to play the Delve card game. I think maybe
bring me into
maybe
this,
we'll
dude.
just not do the song right now, you know.
Yeah, right.
But do we have a Delve card pulled? Because I do want to switch.
No,
I
didn't know we were going into that
just,
like that.
Just pull. It is kind of weird to just go into the Delve card because it is time.
We were going to ask
do
him like
to play.
another question.
Yeah, maybe we can figure it out. I mean, before we go into the Delve card, let's see if I can't lighten the question.
Well, don't
load
read
a
these
little
stats I pulled up off the website.
Yeah.
They're scary.
They're scary stats.
Yeah.
I mean, so here's what I will ask you. We talked a little bit about parents, and parents need to be involved, and they need to have apps on their phones, but and the things that they need to look for, right? The red flags that they need to see their kids. You know, you're saying they need to be aware of kids' attitudes, hiding, wearing newer things, getting things,
changing in their attitude. Well, they're teenagers. I mean, teenagers all their attitude constantly changes. Are they having more cash on than they normally have? Are they being places where other than where they say they are?
Well, you know, and I always felt that's the one thing. Life 360 is always good to have on an app, so you know where they're going to be. The other thing I also think is I always wanted to meet all my kids' friends.
Yeah.
To me, it would be very weird if you're always staying over at somebody else's house.
Yeah.
I felt like it needed to be
parents.
It
and all
needed
that.
to be reciprocal. I mean, I needed to know the parents. I need to understand what was going on. I wasn't afraid of that. But if you're telling me you're always going to be at so and so's house and you're never bringing your friends back to our home, I wanted to make sure my home was an open policy for my kids' friends to come back in. It needed to be reciprocal, and I needed to know those parents, and I needed to know those kids. So I think that's being involved in your kids' lives is paramount, right?
For me, Julia and I have always wanted to be the home that, like on a Friday night, I cook. I don't always do this, but it's a place where all my kids' friends want to come and hang out if they're going and doing stuff. But it'll be a hub where all the kids feel safe.
It's a safe.
And I'm the same way. Like if my kids are going to spend night somewhere else, I'm gonna talk to the parents.
Yeah.
So,
No kid.
Like I had a kid today, my junior, a boy that goes to another school wanted to take her to prom.
Oh.
And I was like,
Dad's got to ask some questions.
I did. I was like, all right, he's got to come hang out with me this afternoon. So he did. He came and he was respectful and he shook my hand. I'm like, you ain't got to shake it that hard, buddy. But
he was meaning it.
He was trying. He was going hard. But I just being aware, not for parents, not spending your entire life in your phone.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah, I've been thinking about
That's
this
a whole
too.
sermon right there.
It's like if the cell phones, right? Obviously, you could track them with that, but then wouldn't that be the first thing that gets taken from them if something they get abducted or something, right? So, is there like put a freaking air tag in their clothes or something? You know?
I mean,
Like, I
I'm
don't
sure
know,
there's
but-
probably somebody thinking somewhere of that. I mean, there are some things. I remember when I thought when my kids were younger, if you had something in their shoes or
Yeah, like
something
clip
like
it on
that.
the inside
and,
of their.
and by the way, I think there might be things like that. You know, if you're a young parent, there might be some things that you could probably throw an air tag underneath the cushion of the shoe, or maybe even the tongue of the shoe, and you
Something
probably have
like
something
that.
like that. There's
Good
probably
thing.
some things that you could do in that sort of world. I mean, that stuff wasn't even around when my kids were growing up. You know,
it's pretty new.
but for sure, that's newer stuff.
Our parents had to have somebody on the TV say, "Hey, it's 9 o'clock. Where are your kids?"
You're right. I just needed to be home. I just need to be home by dark. I just need to be home by dark.
Street lights.
Street lights come on, you come home.
I could be miles and miles away from my home on a bicycle.
It's
and-
crazy to
and
think,
coming
like,
home at
times have
dark.
changed.
We would not let our kids do what we did.
No.
Basically.
What times have
it's a good
changed?
thing,
the
though.
world,
Yeah.
the world can be a dark place, but it's got darker in the U.S.
I know. I told my
With the
mom all the
internet.
different apps that we had, and she's like, "I'm so glad I didn't have to do any of that stuff." You know, she's like, that made me anxious. I didn't even have to deal with all that stuff. You guys just came back in. She goes, I don't need to know it. And I don't. You know, to my kids' credits, I've trusted them a lot. They've gained the trust over day and day and day after day and day. So I don't actually go on Live 360 and look at it all the time, but I certainly will occasionally. I stay involved in their lives, but I think they need to earn your trust. You need to look out for those signs and see it. But at some point when they do gain your trust, you have to It's a balance. I get it because they're trying to become adults. You know, you're training them up so they can go in the right direction. But I always tell my kids and young people out there listening, you don't know what you don't know. That's the biggest thing. You don't know what you don't know. And when you're young, you think you know everything.
I'm 48 and I've lost so much. At 18, I knew everything. 30 years later, I'm like, man, I have a lot to learn.
I've actually felt that about you for a long time.
I know, right? And I'm willing to learn.
You do know algebra.
I solved for X and Y today.
You're killing for algebra. That's
Did you solve it correctly?
Yeah, I did. It took me 40 minutes.
Jared, what do you think what's it like being a dad? We're gonna move. We're gonna change the gear there. What's it like being a dad?
Let's look at my hair.
All right.
Hey, it's buzz cut. It's fine.
Yeah. What's it like? It's the hardest and most rewarding thing at the same time.
Yeah, 100%.
One, I'm blessed that I have a great relationship with my kids. Mm-hmm. Them getting to see me be confronted with my sin.
Mm-hmm.
And even as I was a pastor, a youth and college pastor, and I had secret sin that I held that I compartmentalized as a man. I stuck it over here. And, but for them to see me ask for grace, and ask them for grace, and ask them for forgiveness, and like, God uses broken sticks.
Yeah, he does.
He uses jacked up, crooked sticks.
That genealogy of Jesus in Matthew chapter 1 is just amazing. If you haven't read it, just read Matthew chapter 1. And Matthew, as any good Jewish writer would start every book off just like anyone would and said, I need to tell you this documentary, and this is how we get to Jesus. And so it's the lineage of Jesus, but inside that lineage is, broken people throughout.
I mean, and so what's it like to be a dad? It's just knowing that despite my flaws, despite all the warts I have, God's using me in my house, like to raise up future laborers for Him.
Yeah, and
I'm not a very anxious guy, so I truly believe that God. A covenant with me and my family that He's going to raise up kids that are going to labor for Him, that are going to love Him, and
I don't worry about that too. I feel the same way. Like, they're not mine. I was just giving them to mold and take care of it, but they're always God's, and that takes away the anxiety of it. You know, I'm praying. The best thing I can do for my dad is pray for my kids because I don't know where they're going to be and what's going to come at them. I have no clue.
Right.
I just try to put them in the best possible situations, but they're not mine. I was given these precious gifts to mold for a time in their life. And I'm always in the background. I'll always be here, but I'm seeing my kids launch out into the world, and I'm excited about it because I know God's got them. And what's their path going to be? It's going to be cool to see what they get to do, but I'm not worried about it. That's what I told them. It's like, whatever you do, I don't care how much money you make or who you meet and all that. I don't care about any of that. I just care that you have a relationship with God and you try to help other people.
Love Jesus and be nice to people, right? Yeah. I mean, that's the deal, right? And that's always, I think that's always all that I wanted my kids to be, is to love the Lord and be happy, right?
That's it.
And that's all I want for them. Whatever they do, I mean, money, plenty or not. I do a little word on Wednesday on Instagram Live, and I was around Philippians 4:13, and that was, but I always say that we get it wrong because Philippians 4:12 is really what he said. I figured he essentially said, I figured out how to be successful in life, how to live with little and how to have plenty.
Yeah,
that's right.
And it was just contentment, really. But he wrote that letter from jail.
He did.
and
I was content in jail.
I know, but I grew up watching Evander Holyfield walk down the aisle to beat up Mike Tyson after he came out of jail.
Yeah.
And he had on his waistband Philippians 4:13. I took it as I can beat up Mike Tyson through Christ who strengthens me. And while I think God can help give you strength to do a lot of things, but He sustains you. That's the difference, and He can get you through. And so you're right, that relationship with Jesus is so important. And I love to hear that word covenant that He has with you and your family. I love that.
I mean, it's what my ink is.
Yeah. I love
Genesis 15, the Abrahamic covenant.
Yeah, that's great.
Cool.
Very cool.
I was wondering what it was. I couldn't really see
my wife
it.
gave it to me as for my birthday gift.
Very nice.
Well, that's cool.
That's awesome.
I'd been planning on it for 20 years, and I just never took time.
You want to add some color to
How
it?
many
or-
days?
I'm not
How
gonna
many days
color.
did it?
Okay.
How many days did it take?
I did 6 hours.
6 hours. Ooh, that's a lot of needling.
I loved it.
That's
Did
a
it,
lot
I
of
mean,
needling.
that had to be painful.
I
I
got
mean,
a
I
few-
don't have
I got
any
a few
kids,
of
so-
I
them.
describe it
Yeah.
as
No.
like, and it's very, very descriptive. But so you're carrying a laundry basket.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Every now and then, it's like the handle break. If it were to scratch your arm,
Yeah.
But you just did it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So
For 6 hours.
Yeah.
for 6
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
So some of the spots were spicy,
Yeah.
but
That's a good word.
I'm a man.
That's right. I got it through. I've done it. I've got a small one here, and I got on my ankle, and I've got another one to get here soon with my. I told my kids if they want a tattoo, I get one with them. We just need to have some meaning behind it, so we will work through what it'll be. So this one was the one I got with Jackson, and then I got one on my. This one I got on my own. That was one. My wife said we talked about it, and I said, hey, I think I want to get another tattoo, and because I always feel like as a husband that my body's hers as well. And so I just said, well, let's talk about it. And she said, all right, you can go get a tattoo. And so like the next day I was like, you said it up there.
You said I could quit my job. Okay.
Yeah, I quit my job. I'm saying, you did it in 2 hours. She gave me the okay. I was like, in the dark, in the chair, baby. No take backs.
No take backs.
That's so funny.
Hey, now's a good segue to play the Delve card game. Let's hit it on, and we've got Delve card here. And so what's our question of the day? This just you don't have to hit the music. We've been going a little while. Let's not do the. We got a little Juice song that we do a lot of times.
Nah, we don't need it. I don't.
But
even
Delve
like
Card's
it,
a great thing. Again, Delve Card, look it up, DELVE, delvecard.com. Go check them out. Delve Card, you can, as parents, you can sit down at the table when your kids are just hanging around and talking because they don't talk, and you say, "How was your day?" And I don't know, how was my day. We played this when my kids were all at the table, plenty of time sitting around. So, give us the question, Juice. What's the question of the day?
All right. What grown-up problems were you least prepared for when you entered adulthood?
Grown-up problems that I was least prepared for
as you become an adult.
Say the question again. I want to get it right.
So what grown-up problem
that I
were
wasn't
you the least prepared for when you entered adulthood?
Taxes.
That's a great answer.
Taxes. I was the least prepared for taxes.
I did mine when I was like, my mom taught me when I was like 18.
I probably should have, but my parents just did a lot of my taxes when I was in college. My mail wasn't forwarded to me when I was there, and so I think my mom or my dad did. Then I think when they split up, I had to start figuring it out. But I mean, I might have been behind on some taxes for a year or two. Of course, I didn't make anything, but the taxes were something I wasn't prepared for. Home mortgage. I wasn't prepared to get a home mortgage. I didn't understand all of those things. Those were things I didn't know. Yeah. So somebody walked me through. I can remember I sat down. I never forget. I sat down with a mortgage guy, right? And we went and got all the pay stubs. I mean, I just didn't even know what to get. And so they give you a checklist, and you go and get this loan. And our loan was, I think at the time it was like 7%. It was like 7%. Was the home loan that we got back in 2001. I think it was 2001. And 7% home loan that we sat down with the guy and we said, hey, he said, okay, well, we can do this. We can lock it in right now. Interest rates are 7%. The Fed's going to come. And this guy didn't know jack. If I had understood what I know now about interest rates, I would have locked it in. Like, you could see what the Fed is going to do, but I didn't know. Googling, I didn't understand Fed. I didn't know what it was. So I said, he goes, but they could take it down. They could take it up. Do you want to lock it in now, or do you want to see what they do? I think they meet in a couple weeks. And I was like, oh, we're going to gamble, baby. I can get under 6.
Roll them dice, baby.
Well, I ended up getting a 7 1/4.
That's what that was my first
interest rate. So 7 1/4 was my first one. So I wasn't prepared for that.
I think taxes were mine too.
Taxes,
but I've always done my own taxes until they got way too complicated.
I think I got TurboTax.
I did TurboTax. I'm not going to pay somebody to do this.
Do it. Yeah.
I'm a software guy. I can figure this out. So, but yeah,
Jared, you got anything that sticks out with you that you weren't ready for? You're having babies though, like
that's true.
I quoted it today at the sauna. I didn't realize how much I was going to hate putting on socks when I was 43. It's by far my least favorite thing to do right now.
I like you got the overties on right now.
Put on socks. I know that was a cheesy answer, but
No,
so you
man.
move to the beach so you don't have to wear socks.
No wrong
anymore.
answers here on what the hell do I know with the jabronis. No wrong answers.
That was a great answer,
Putting on
Jared.
socks. I didn't realize how much I was going to hate it.
Yeah, putting on a 1.5-year-old socks. That sucks
That's
also.
That's going everywhere.
Putting on socks after doing taxes. That's the worst.
Yeah, young people out there, this life will come at you. Here's the thing I tell you, though, is that all of those things got solved for. Just ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I know somebody somewhere has told you that there's no dumb answers or dumb questions. There are dumb questions, but around those things, there's really not. When you're talking about money, you're talking about finances, you're talking about that, ask somebody questions.
Get a mentor as fast as you can.
100%.
Somebody you trust that's older
Find
than you.
somebody, talk to them. Absolutely.
That's
Don't
willing
be
to share
afraid to reach out.
information.
Heck, DM me.
Yeah.
I mean, you need to
Right
find
into the
somebody.
$10
that can-
podcast.
Right.
10,
Yeah. $10. Yeah, $10 podcast at gmail.com. That's right. You can get a hold of us there. But yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I would say and shopping insurance for your homeowner insurance is kind of sucks.
So
Like
it
when you're
does for-
shopping for that.
It
Yeah.
does.
That's why we had Drew
But
on.
having a professional like Drew,
Drew's easy,
over
yeah.
at home,
Let them do
affordable
that
home
for you.
insurance, absolutely. You give them a call, let them do it. They'll shop it around for you. Absolutely.
So yeah, pretty much buying a house and doing your taxes.
Yeah.
like
Don't sit around
common
there.
answer.
The most adult things
The
possible.
most adult
Yeah.
things. Wasn't a big grass cutter either,
Yeah.
although I love the finished product. I always loved a clean cut grass,
Yeah.
edged out.
I need to cut
I
mine.
always loved that. But
I
that,
had a
that's not big
landscaping.
fun.
You didn't know that? Nobody knows. I had a landscaping business in college.
Did you really?
I did. Me and a buddy.
Push
He's a
mower,
pastor
push
now.
mower, the push mower, or
We had push. We had the big stand
the
on it
big
and
decks, and you stand on the little
deck,
thing. Yeah.
Hey, cutting your parents' lawn is not considered having
wish.
a landscaping business.
My dad had a 20-acre lawn.
Oh, yeah.
He
Oh,
still
man.
mows with a John Deere rider.
Wow.
This takes a couple days.
I was going to say he's doing his sections
15
every day.
hours.
Yeah.
Is he that? He just won't buy like a small John Deere and pull it in.
A Dixie chopper would have been better. Anyway,
Yeah.
at least you're not 15 hours on a mower.
That's right. That's right.
Anyway, love you, Dad.
Well, Jared, I've got one more question for you. If you had anything, if you could go back and change, talk to yourself at 18 to 25 years old, what would you say to yourself then? I mean, what would you tell let's say, what would you tell your 20 to 25? Let's say it that way. Let me rephrase it. What would you tell your 20 to 25-year-old self if you could go back today?
What would I tell my 20 to 25-year-old self? One, I'd say go see a therapist.
No, that's a good one.
Seriously.
Mental health.
I mean, whether you're walking into marriage, where you're walking into having kids, being mentally healthy.
Mm-hmm.
One, getting sober for me was I've become the present father that I thought I was I've been married for 20 years and the present husband now that I thought I was, but I didn't understand presence because the whole time I was trying to change how I felt about myself. I changed my state of mind. But it would be like, if you have some secrets, some things you're dealing with, go talk to a therapist. There's no shame in that.
That's right.
There's no shame in that. Take care of your mental health so that years from now you can reap the benefits from that, and you're not going to be suffering in silence.
Well, I always tell all my kids that their first few counseling sessions are on me. Because I know I did things that probably messed them up here and there.
Yeah.
There's no perfect parent.
There's no perfect
no
parent.
perfect
And go in there, and if you ever need me to come in, sit in and apologize for anything, I'll do it. I want you to be healthy, and but there's moments and times that I didn't say the right thing or do the right thing, I'm sure, and maybe not.
So this might be a weird question. What if you're young, especially if you're young and you can't afford therapy? Because I know it's not the cheapest thing. So is there?
If you're in school, if you're in a college setting, most of the time they have free therapy on college settings. So you should check that out, right? The other thing I would tell you about, and this is a hard space to be in as a young person because I know church isn't a big thing. But there are a lot of churches that are going to have some. I'm not a big fan of lay counseling completely because I think you can get in with somebody that doesn't know exactly what they're saying. However, if that's what's available to you, that's not the worst thing to be able to talk to somebody, right?
Yeah.
But there is some resources for young people, and I don't know everybody's area, but there are. Those are the things that pop in my head is where the routes that I would go.
Yeah.
But you do need, when Shinholster was on, the one thing he said, and it still sticks out in my head, is why don't we ask for help, right? Like, who taught you that you couldn't ask for help? And it's just like this implied thing, especially as guys.
Well, that's what I'm afraid people might think they can't afford it.
There's resources there.
Yeah,
and
that's
the thing. You need to find the resources, and you don't need to be afraid to to find them. There's more resources than you know. In fact, I bet you if you went to Walton County, they'd have some resources here.
That's
I bet you they'd have some stuff.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Good stuff. So that's really good. Anything else you tell your 2025 that you're going to stick with the therapy?
Yeah.
It's not. He's going to stick with that one.
Yeah, stick
that's
with that
a good
one.
That's a good one.
Just, I like it. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Absolutely. I think that's right.
Don't be afraid to ask for help and find you. I like what you said a minute ago. Find you somebody older, a little wiser than you.
Mentor is important. We say that on more pods. Almost every pod we talk about mentorship. We talk about. I mean, that's where we feel like this pod lands for a lot of folks here. Yeah. I mean, we got a lot of young. 17 to 45, I think 44 is 85% of our audience.
Because, like in your case, your daughter's 100%. Friends, you should be their mentor. You know that you'd be a great person to mentor them, and that's a great way for them to find them as their friends' parents.
Yep.
You know, just.
Absolutely. That's what Tony Carter was on. He said the same thing. He said, look at your friends' parents, and you wouldn't believe who might be a mayor or a deputy or a sheriff or a business leader or just a deacon in their church or just an upstanding human being. You wouldn't believe who's there, and I'm telling you, when you look at those friends, there's not really a mother or father that go, I don't know that I really want you to be a better person. If you know what I mean. Yeah. I don't know. I think you're floundering. I think you're floundering. I'm here to watch it happen.
Yeah, that's part of the process.
Because that's not. If somebody's held in high esteem around you, most of those people, if you talk to them about it, they'll want to be.
I tell my wife and I, we tell our kids, like, show me your friends and I'll show you your future.
Oh, that's true. That's
very important.
Very
as
good.
As the company you keep, right? Yeah.
Very good, which actually is a great segue into our question today. So, again, you can email us at $10podcast@gmail.com. Some of you do. We get a question. We don't get them every time. This question came in. I wanted to share it again. $10podcast@gmail.com. Send us in. It's 10. So the letters or the numbers 10, then the letters $. So $10podcast@gmail.com. And send us in your questions. This is today's question. We're like Dear Abby, but Dear Jabronis. You're an honorary jabroni, so you can help us answer this one. Dear Jabronis, I have some online bullying that is happening to me. How should I respond?
Jared should take this one right now.
How should I respond? I mean, online bullying, how should I respond? First thing that hits me is don't respond.
Disengage.
Yeah,
disengage.
I like that.
I really, not that I get a lot or anything, but I don't even,
I mean, we get some trolls and things like that, and I see what happens, even on my social media when we post things or things go out, and it is what it is. Some of it, I love feedback, by the way, so if you have feedback and you want to hear something different or have something, again, that didn't hit right for you, that's fine. I love feedback, but you get some of that weirdness that happens.
I'm guessing it's a specific person that's
but
probably targeted.
This seems like a high school, middle school sort of thing happening. Don't pain seek. If that person's sending you stuff and you're getting things in, social media allows you to block somebody. Yeah. Don't pain seek. Disengage from it. This too shall pass. Disengage is what I would tell you. But then talk to somebody. Yeah. Talk to somebody. The school's got to have resources. Your parents got to have resources. Talk to somebody that you feel comfortable can help you walk you through an appropriate system. You're not alone. You're not alone. There's resources out there, and you need to talk to somebody.
Yeah, disengage. You silence the trolls by starving it.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah, don't give them the validation.
Yep.
Don't
because they'll move on to somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. Jared, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast, man.
Well, thanks for having me.
What we got to hear about, what we got to learn about. I mean, I'm going to go online. We want to get that training done myself so I can learn and we can learn what we can look out for it and be better partners in our community too. And so I just appreciate you coming on and sharing your heart for Jesus, but then your heart for what breaks his heart.
Yeah.
And how we can dive into that and lean into other people and hopefully make this world a better place.
Yeah, if you see something, say something. Yeah. If something looks suspicious, don't be like, that looks off. I don't need to call.
Like your gut will tell you.
Make
your
call.
gut is a culmination of everything you've kind of learned in life.
Contact law enforcement.
Your gut is like, wait a second.
I think another reason that it's gotten worse too is people are so scared of profiling, right? Because they're
getting it wrong.
They don't want to be called whatever,
Yeah.
So and then for the locals or even people that come visit lovely 38, 98. Not their visit 98. Old lovely 98.
Yeah. Old lovely 98.
It's nice
got
and
stuff there now.
There's plenty of, if they want to come help out on the farm, they want to come do some service work, I can provide them ample opportunity to get their
rake and a shovel.
Brandon grew up on a farm. He has to come.
He's got to come check it out.
Mine was a cattle farm. Mine was more cows.
Oh, we can get cows up there.
They'll have cows.
Get some
before
cows.
Some alfalfa
chickens
fields.
is a great idea.
Yeah, some alfalfa. Get some grass.
Safeinthepanhandle.com. Check it out. That's a really good one. But this is a time I like to say, listen up, kids. Listen up, kids. Life is not all about you. You're going to become a part of this community or the community that is around you. And you want to be the best for it. And we need to look out for the most vulnerable people in the world. And the most vulnerable are the ones that are most susceptible to being trafficked and to being abused. And so we need to stand up in there. And what I would encourage you today is to elevate those around you. Elevate and honor them around you. Male, female, honor the people around you, and let's just treat people better. We can snuff this out. This is on us. And so we can snuff it out. I'm going to leave you with this. Matthew 6:33 says this: seek first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. We love you. Good luck out there. Hopefully you'll look out for others. But, what the hell do I know?
What the hell do I know? I'm just JB, middle-aged dad with ADD. Candid combos, jokes so lame, jabronis pulling a poker face. Just a couple of dudes with ADD. What the hell do I know? With JB.